In this video today I'm going to show you how you can spot a fake Casio F-91W. So originally this watch came out in June 1989, and even 31 years later they're still selling up to 3 million units a year, so it's a really popular watch. And I think the reason it's popular is because it does everything you need a watch to do. It tells the time, you've got a 24-hour clock, you have an alarm, you have a stopwatch, you also have a little light up here as well. As well as that, it's got a 7-year battery life, and it's ridiculously cheap. So I bought this one from Argos in the UK for £9.99, 100%. This is a genuine one here. I bought this one off eBay for £5.99, so £4 less, and you could get them for cheaper. You can get them for £4 or £5, so you can definitely get them for half price on eBay. And I bought this one slightly more expensive than some of them because it said it was genuine. It actually said in the title, a genuine Casio F-91W, and the reason it said it was genuine is because when you hold this button in here, it comes up with Casio, which is a way to spot a fake. But 100% this is still a fake. And even if we hold 3 buttons down here, this is another thing that people say, can you see it comes up with all the digits there? So just like the real one, but 100% that this is fake. There's no doubt in my mind at all. And this one on the right is real. So when it comes to the video, everything on the right hand side is going to be real, and this one here is going to be fake, left for fake. And then at the end we're going to take it apart and we'll see what's in the inside and see if we can see more things that are wrong on the inside. Let's get started. The first one is the packaging. The real one comes in a proper box and it's got a little tag here with a sticker on the back. I'm thinking that maybe the sticker's put on depending on the destination of the country, but the same tag might be used worldwide. When you look at the fake one, it just comes in its own little bag and there's no sticker on the back of the tag. It's just printed on because it's probably the same no matter where it's sold. Also, if you look at the Casio, can you see the I stops short? It doesn't go right the way to the very bottom of the S and the O, while on the real one, the I goes to the very bottom of the S and the O. Also, it's got a tiny little R for the registered trademark here, while there's a massive R which is nowhere near the Casio on the fake one here. Now the next one is the screen alignment on the inside. It can be easily fixed, but obviously this is just attention to detail that's lacking on the fake. If you have a look, can you see the 5 is nearer to the bottom than, for example, the 2 there. Yet on this one it's all straight. So on the real one it's straight, fake one it's slanted, and it's more apparent when you go over to the 24-hour clock. Now while we're here as well, look at the actual display itself. This one is, well, it's a nice clear display, but it looks different than this one. This has a more greenish tinge to it. Also, when you hold it at an angle, this one you can see shadows. So look at underneath the 2, you can see like a shadow underneath the 2, and that doesn't happen on the real one. The real ones look flat, while these ones here look like they've got a shadow onto the reflective bit underneath. Let's see if we can, there you go, look at the 7 and the 1, look at the 1 there, yeah, and look at the real one, there is no shadow. Now have a look at the gold writing. It's a completely different shade of writing. This one here is more gold than this one here. They just look different. Look at the way Casio is written. This Casio here is much fuller than this one here, which is thinner. This is a really noticeable one here. See where it says water resist? Look at the U there, look how big it is. Look at the U here, it's tiny. On the real one, it's absolutely tiny. When it comes to the actual colours, the blue and the red on the fake is much more vivid than the real one. When you rub your finger around the edge here, let's see if you can hear this. It's rough. When I rub my finger on the real one, listen. It's nice and smooth, and that's exactly the same on the top. Listen to this. Compared to this one. It's completely different because this is so much rougher. Look at the blue band that goes around the edge here. That this follows the case of the watch. It's like a hexagon in this corner bit here. But look at this one. It follows the first bit, but look at the gap up here compared to the gap here. It's much different. So even if you haven't got a good one next to you, a real one, you should still be able to pick up on whether yours is real or fake by just following these things here. Now I'm going to zoom right in and I'm going to show you the finish around the actual writing itself. This is the fake one here. Look at the W and the R. Look at the way the finish. It's rough when you zoom in, and also look at that red triangle there. It's not even finished on the left hand side. Can you see the corners being cut on this top little bit here? It just doesn't look right. And now when you compare that to the real one, look how much nicer it is when you look up close. It's like perfectly straight lines, and that red triangle is perfectly straight. Also, look at a 24-hour. Again, it's flawless, it's perfect. Even though it's a $9.99 watch, everything is printed perfectly. But now, again, look at the fake. Look at the 24-hour when you're looking close. Can you see there's bits missing from it? And the overall finish is just not nice. It's more pixelated. Now we're looking at the back of the watch here. Now this is the fake one, again the real one. Now look at the way this has been brushed. This has been brushed vertically, and yet the real one has been brushed horizontally. Also the brushing on the real one, it's hard to see. It's much more nicely done, while this one is very coarse. It's so coarse it's harder to make out the writing on it, but there's also something important written on here. Casio is a Japanese company, and look on the fake one, it says Japan. But on the real one, it says made in China. So although it's a Japanese company, they are making them in China because obviously labour costs are going to be a lot less in China than Japan on a low-cost item. And now, if it was to be made in Japan, I believe if you were to look at the front, it would then say Japan U here. And it doesn't, it just says U. Yeah. So again, the real one nowadays is made in China. Could well be made in other countries, but as far as I'm aware, they're not made in Japan unless it says Japan at the front, and that will be an older model. Now, when we're here as well, there's one important thing that's glaringly obvious when you actually look at it closely. Have a look at the screws. These are crosshead screws, but look at the real ones. They're crosshead, but they also have a little slot in them to allow for a flat-headed screwdriver. Let me zoom right in to show you. So this is a fake one here, which is just a standard crosshead, and this is the real one, which is a crosshead, but also has a bit come out of it for the flat-head screwdriver as well. Now, another one is the viewing angle of the watch. So obviously they're perfect when you look at them straight on. But now, when we go up at an angle here, let's do it where you can still see the real one, but you can't see the fake one. Well, there you go. You can see now, hold on, get it the same angle with the buttons touching there. Look at the one on my right-hand side, well, the right-hand side of the screen. You can still see it says 1721. The left-hand side you can't see whatsoever. And even if we do it more, you can still just make out the right-hand side, but not the left. So there you go. Look at that there now. You can see the difference between that. So the viewing angle is much better on the real one than the fake one. Now let's move on to the strap, because there's differences on the strap as well. But the finish is not very, there we go, not very nice. Can you see we have like a kind of melted bit here and here? And yet on the real one, we don't have that. Now there is imperfections on the real one because obviously it's a cheap watch, but there's not as much imperfections as the fake one. There's a bit of an imperfection here, but yet this side is okay. Look at the mess of this one here. And even that. Oh, listen. Yeah. I didn't notice that. That's another thing. There we go. Look how smooth that is. Look how horrible that is. If we come down to the buckle, the real one, it's nice and smooth all the way around. And look at the fake one. It's got bits coming out of it. Again, just attention to detail where it hasn't been finished. As well as that, this is an interesting one. Look at the way Casio's written on the real and fake. It's completely different. So look at this one here. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks nice, but look at the O. It's like, it's very square, while on this one, it's more rounded. And now if you look at the way the Casio O is rounded, you see the O is not square. It's a nice round, just like this one here, while this is square. You see where the strap's attached? These ones are pushed in. On the real one, they're pushed in the same amount on both sides, while on this one's quite far in, and this one's sticking out a lot. And then if we flip it around the other side, this is still the real one. These bits here, they're in by about 1 millimetre or so, and they look nice, while this one is near enough at the surface, and this one's pushed in too far. And one of the last things that I've seen on the outside of the watch anyway is to do with the actual moulding. We've got a blank up here. Now if you look at the blank, it's got a fair bit of width to it, just like the one below it and just like these ones here. But on the fake one, look, there's not much plastic there, is there? Look how thin it is compared to that. Now for me, this is quite a major one. When you press the buttons, this one is a lot harder to press than this one. So the real one, you can just press, and you need a little bit of force, but it doesn't hurt your finger when you do it. Now I'm not saying you're going to complain about having a sore finger on this one. It just takes more force to press it than this one here. It doesn't feel as nice when you're pressing it. There's just more resistance there. Now just before we open it up to see the differences on the inside, obviously the things that I haven't mentioned are all the same, so it does function perfectly as a watch. Also, if we were to hold down this like I showed you earlier, it does come up with the Casio thing. And when we press the 3 buttons down, it comes up with all the segments lit up, like I showed you earlier again. As well as that, the light is exactly the same colour. It's hard to see in this light because it's so bright, but look, you see a little green light there and a little green light here. So that all looks to be pretty much identical. If we go into the alarm and hold this down, you can hear it. So yeah, that's the outside of them. Now let's open them up and let's have a look on the inside. Right, okay, straight away you can see that the little buzzer here has a broken edge to it. So that's definitely different. Let's open up the real one. To me, this just looks better quality. But saying that, I do know it's better quality. But just little things like the buzzer and stuff, just with a stamp on it, just looks better. Well, I think we need to take out the batteries to see if the batteries are the same or not. If you have a look, one sort of obvious thing here is that the little arm that touches the buzzer to make it work is just on the screw terminal here, while this one here is soldered onto the actual board itself. Let's have a look on the inside, see if we can see anything different here, and then we'll look at the movements. So straight away we've got a big red thing around here, which is the inside of the acrylic plastic, you know, the glass. And that's not on this one here. Let's have a look at the pushers. Right, those pushers are flat. Right, even the pushers are different. If you have a look here, these pushers have a little point on them, which probably makes them easier to push. Yet these ones are completely flat. And again, if you look at the little seal, the grooves on it are not very deep compared to the bits that are sticking up. But yet, if you look at this one here, again, it's more detailed, isn't it? So the movements themselves do look different. Let's flip them over. I should have gloves on, but remember, these are just cheap items. With this one, the real one, you've actually got little clips to clip the battery on and off, while with this one, it's all done via screws. But let's take the batteries out and see what they are. So the real one has well, that's nice, a Panasonic CR2016. So this means it's 20mm across and it's 1.6mm in depth. But that's the battery, at least it is a proper battery. Now let's have a look at this fake one here. There we go. It's not a Panasonic, is it? So I'm not saying it's a bad battery, but it's not a branded battery, or not a brand that I recognise. So will it last as long as a Panasonic one? Possibly, but I think it's unlikely. So it's a shame that there wasn't a branded battery in there. So now, when you buy this watch, you expect it to last 7 years. And obviously, I don't know whether it will or won't last 7 years, but I think a battery with that's got a brand on it is probably going to have more chance of lasting the 7 years than an unbranded battery. Okay, so again, that's different. You can just see that the Casio one is better quality. Even though it's a cheap product, it's still better quality. There you go. Now let's have a look at the movements. Right, looking at the circuit boards now, the real one here to me looks to be nicer. For example, we have a through-hole component here, mount it as an SMD, while here we have an SMD component. If you look at the silk screen, it just looks more detailed on this one. And also, if you actually look at the contacts, these seem to have a more gold finish. So maybe this would be less likely to tarnish over time. Look at the LED. The LED is nice and big, while this LED here is tiny. There's lots of differences. So I'm going to get these watches back together and let's finish up this video. So there we are, both back together now and still working fine. So I've straightened up the display on the fake one a bit just to make it look a little bit better. So isn't it amazing? From first glimpse you think they're exactly the same watch, but there's a huge amount of differences between them. So if you've got any enjoyment from this video at all, please give it a big thumbs up and please subscribe for more videos. Take care, bye now.